Guys, you're not going to believe this, but I think I've hit the nail right on the head. I really do. The capital systems collapsed globally. And you know what I done? I went on to GPT, and asked it what happens when a capital system fails. And I'm going to ask it to read it back to you, what I got as an answer. Can you read that again? Here it goes. Listen to this.
Of course, let me summarize it for you. Economic crisis. A failed capital system can lead to a recession or depression with business closures and high unemployment. Financial chaos. Banks may collapse, leading to a loss of savings and investments, and a lack of trust in financial institutions. Price instability. A country might experience either inflation or deflation, affecting the economy's balance. Government action. Governments may intervene with bailouts or fiscal stimulus to stabilize the economy. Social unrest. Unemployment and reduced services can lead to protests and demands for change. Global impact. Economic trouble in one country can affect global markets and trade partners. Alternative systems. There might be a shift towards alternative economic systems or ideologies. Environmental and social effects. Environmental regulations and social services might suffer as priorities shift. A systemic failure is complex and requires international cooperation and reform to address.
And there you go. Point for point, guys. This is happening, and it's not just happening in one country. This is a global crisis that they are not talking about because they realise the significant impacts of people protesting and rioting once it's made public. But it's point for point accurate. That's exactly what's happening around this world, and they're not telling people. The reason I think that they're happy at the moment is because the only people that this capital system is serving right now are the rich. The middle class have been squashed down into the poor bracket, and nobody seems to be able to afford food, rent, and pay the bills, despite whether they work or not. This is a crisis. And it's taking, you just heard the artificial intelligence tell you what happens in a capital system collapse. And tell me that every point that was made by that artificial intelligence, tell me if it weren't right. This is serious, guys. You need to, you know what, I really fear for what's coming next. But you need to get together with your family. You need to put a contingency plan in place short term, because we're going to see a lot of unrest around the world. Once people become aware that the capital system is broke and it can't be fixed globally, there is going to be civil unrest. And I think that the governments around the world already know that that is the case. And I think that that's what they've been doing, by disarming people in countries, banning them the right to have weapons. They've tried it several times in America, but they've always run into a brick wall, because I think it's their Second Amendment of the constitutional rights that entitles them to bear arms. Should a tyrannical government ever, force its opinions and motions on the public, they are allowed to fight back. But what will they replace the system with, and when? That's what I'm concerned about. When more than what? Because right now we've got people that are working and they're not able to afford to live. Now, the incentive was in part of the capital system that if you worked, you would be able to pay your bills, you would be able to have a mortgage, you'd be able to raise a family. We can't do that anymore. There isn't enough money in the month. There isn't enough money in the salary anymore to do that. And we're hearing in some countries like America that excuse me, that people are on $100,000 and it's still not enough to pay or manage the bills for the month. How the hell can that be possible? What's happened globally, it seems that inflation has found a way of breaking the capital system, and it got out of control at some point, and there's no government that can fix it. There's no government that can pay the bills at the moment themselves. Do you think America can pay that $30 8 trillion off. Never going to be able to do it. It's like even what the Brits owe. You know, we're never going to be able to pay it off. Europe can't pay the debts. And what we've been seeing is an attempt to regain some of that debt from the International Monetary Fund. And if we look at Spain, for instance, when Spain's government failed and they couldn't pay the bills, they went and took the pensions off of the people. It was very sad. You know, a few years ago I went to Gran Canaria, which is a Spanish island in the Mediterranean, not in the Mediterranean, in the Pacific. In the mid-Atlantic. And what I saw there was shocking. The elderly were living in shacks on the top of these high-rise buildings in like makeshift sheds. And during the daytime, they were looking in the bins for food. These are people that had put into the system all their life. And because they took a loan off the International Monetary Fund, they'd been forced to hand over the pensions so that the country could pay its debts. But this is, like I said, guys, go back in the video and listen to what the artificial intelligence said. It leads to systematic spreading from one country to another. You know, chalking up the whole system. Now, most people haven't put this together. They haven't worked it out. They haven't figured it out what's gone on. But the capital system has broken. It's broken right now. And there's nothing being put in place. There's no subsidies for people that can't afford to live. The governments aren't paying subsidies. So what's next? Well, civil unrest on a global scale. That's what's next. Now, I don't know if this has been done on purpose. But what I do know is one thing, is that I am not going to fucking work for the rich elite bastards so that they can have what they want still in this monetary system or this capital system, whilst people like me and you have nothing. I am not their slave. I'm not going to do that. If the capital system's broken, then they better come up with something pretty quick, because the only other solution is right now, and we're going to see it, I guarantee you now, when people's tempers rage, we are going to see civil unrest on a global scale. And the police forces are not big enough to deal with this. So, right now, at this very moment, the capital system's broke and the governments are too frightened to make that announcement. So, it's down to you to tell everybody else that you know what's gone on here. I knew something was wrong, because, you know, you might get a country suffer a bit of recession, you know, but not on a global scale. And the problems are the same within each of the countries. If you have a look on YouTube, go to Australia, type in the cost of living crisis, go to America, do the same, go to Canada, all over Europe, choose whatever country you want, you're going to find the same problem in every country. What does that mean? Exactly what the artificial intelligence told us. The capital system has broken.